All right, folks, the moment a lot of you have been waiting for. Meet Ezareth, this absolute behemoth freak. This guy is insane. He's going to be the new ancient exclusive Cultist Lord coming to Watcher of Realms. He is a fighter, he is a very good lord, and he deals a truly incredible amount of AoE magic damage. Kind of the only way to put it. He's got huge amounts of execution, he can entirely devour opponents the way Gluttony does, he has an excellent synergy with Valise. All in all, he is a home run of a unit. I am very excited about him. I will tell you right out of the gate, as incredible as he is, if you think he is going to be the solution to get the super high scores in Zerbus, that is not true. If you want to know more about that, go watch my Zerbus guide featuring him and Valise. I did a lot of analysis, I did a lot of math. Shout out to my boy Chris, Behemoth, who helped me out with all of that. But he is not going to unlock insanely new height, though he will probably, certainly improve the meta. That being said, one thing I failed to mention in that video that I want to be sure to mention now, if you're a lot lower and you're just trying to get a first or second or third chest, really first or second, he will help unlock that for you in a pretty major way. He is phenomenal. The damage he does is wild.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
So let's get right into it. Let's start with the base stats. I will say the base stats are good. They're not as crazy as you probably think, and that is kind of standard of magic fighters. Magic DPS in general tend to have much lower stats. It is because the defense numbers that physical DPSers have to clear are a lot higher than the magic resistance numbers that magic damage dealers have to clear. That being said, the stats are good. They're just not insanely remarkable. The HP comes in just under 20k. We're looking at 19,749. The attack is actually 5,163. We're looking at him here fully skilled, fully maxed out at Awaken 5. So the base before you get him Awaken 2 or higher is 5,163. This is very high for a magic fighter, but it's not anything insane or special. But it is definitely on the very high end, but not ridiculous. There you go. Defense is very good, magic resistance is okay. Cost is actually pretty good for someone this insanely strong. Block is standard at 2, attack interval standard at 2.6. The rest is what you'd expect. Let's go into the skills now, because the skills probably aren't what you expect. Believe it or not, I'm sure you will believe it. This crazy guy has a very crazy, confusing kit. I put a lot of work today and the later part of yesterday into actually understanding how it all works. There are a lot of unique mechanics here, which hopefully I will distill into something very comprehensible to the bunch of you. I think we can do it. So let's jump in with the talent. He specializes in draining life force from the weak and converting it into dark spores to aid the caster in battle. That is a bunch of mumbo jumbo. What you need to know is he stacks something called Dark Spores, and they allow him to deal wild amounts of damage. Like, they enable a lot of his kit. So what are Dark Spores? They're just a unique mechanic that is part of who Ezareth is, and they stack up to 5 times. He can carry 5 Dark Spores at a time. Let me actually show him in content just so you can see exactly what this looks like. If you want to see a full showcase, I have that giant Zerbus showcase featuring him and Valise. But if we place him here, you're going to see, by the way, this is his range. He's like at the back of this 3x3 square. It's a little weird for certain content, but I will say it is the perfect range for Zerbus. The devs knew exactly what they were doing. They designed him exclusively for this. You can see on deployment, he does get 2 stacks of Dark Spores, and the developers did an amazing job of visually making this really easy to track. These start grayed and blacked out, and then once he fills them, they turn this kind of glowing pink color, and you can see there's 5 things that can light up. We currently have 2 lit up, which means we have 2 Dark Spore stacks. Upon deployment, he starts in his Destroyer mode. He's got 2 modes. We'll go over his ultimate in one moment, Destroyer and Devourer. And when he's in Destroyer mode, every 5 seconds, he can activate one of those Dark Spores and deal the crazy damage. So you'll see that now as he goes through it. So he's gonna, in a second, yet another 5 seconds passed, and he used another one of the Dark Spores. That's all I really wanted to show you in terms of gameplay, and I wanted you to get a nice visual without other things cluttering of how insane he looks on the battlefield, because he is enormous and he is bad freaking ass. I think he's definitely gonna be a lot of people's favorite design, at least of a male character in this game. So there you go. You have that visual, those little grayed out things. He can get 5 stacks at a time. They light up pink, that glowing pink, as he goes through it, and he's stacking those dark spores. So as I mentioned, when he's deployed, he will enter the World Destroyer mode. Just think of it as Destruction mode and Devouring mode. Ezareth is either a Destroyer or a Devourer. That Devourer mode is the state where he can gain more stacks of dark spores. This way, when he goes back to the Destroyer mode, he's ready to destroy. And the other thing that we went over, when he's deployed, he will also not just enter the Destroyer mode, but he will gain 2 stacks of Dark Spores. We will get into his Lord skill in just a bit, but before we do, I want to go over the rest of his kit. Let's quickly start with the base attack, and then we can go into the ultimate. So his basic attack is a really nice AoE. 120% AoE damage, and it hits up to 8 enemy targets at one time. A lot of units, we see this number capped at 5 on the basic, so starting at 8 is very good. By the way, quick disclaimer, all the numbers you're gonna hear in this section for the skills will be the skills at max skill level, at skill level 5. Let's go to the ultimate now. It's gonna start off simple. He essentially can use this ult to switch between modes, just like a Diao Chan or an Ingrid. Here his modes are the World Destroyer mode and the World Devourer mode. However, the complexity comes from understanding what these modes are. Before we do, I wanna talk about how crazy this ult is. The ult switch only takes 1 second. The animation is 1 second, so it's basically just a moment. And the cost is 50, and his initial cost is 50. This is the lowest cost ult in the game. He can spam this like it's nothing. If you think Diao Chan can stance switch, can mode switch quickly, he does it twice as fast. Her cost is 100, his cost is 50. It's pretty wild, and it does enable a lot of cool things. Imagine this guy with an Idril. He would just be juicing up every single shot. That's not the normal way to use him, but if you're a progressing account, if you're still trying to get through a lot of the normal content in the game, that'd be pretty fun. He also, I'm just gonna get this out of the way now, is a really cool candidate for the Hell's Lament set, right? So in Hell's Lament, he can get that bonus uptime all the time because he can just quickly switch from the Destroyer mode to the Devourer mode and then right back to Destroyer. It's gonna be just a couple seconds. So what are these modes? Let's begin with the one you're probably most intrigued by, the Destroyer mode. This is a mode of focused combat. If carrying at least 1 stack of Dark Spores, he will consume that stack to deal 430% AoE damage to up to 10 enemy targets in a large area ahead. This effect has a 5-second cooldown. So this is why I was saying every 5 seconds he can consume another Dark Spore stack. You'll see with his passives, this gets even stronger, and with his awakenings, this gets even stronger. There is so much power in this guy's kit. Now, what is the Devourer mode? Well, I gotta move myself fully out of the way for this one because this is a lot of text. This is a mode focused on recovery. When Dark Spores is not at full stacks, devours 1 allied summon in the basic attack range or 1 enemy with HP below 50%. So when this is saying he will devour an enemy, this is a full execution. So any enemy that isn't a boss or an elite and has HP under 50% will disappear from the battlefield, and he's gonna gain 1 stack of Dark Spores. The other thing is if he devours an allied summon. If he does that though, he's gonna get a 2nd stack of Dark Spores for the devouring. You'll see that in 1 moment. So let's take a step back. After he devours either, he will restore 35% of his HP and he gains 1 stack of Dark Spores. But like I said, after he specifically devours an allied summon, he gains an additional stack of Dark Spores. So in that case, he's gonna get 2 at a time. He will also, after gaining any stack of Dark Spores, take 2 seconds to trigger this devouring ability again. So whether that's consuming another enemy with under 50% HP and getting 1 stack of Dark Spores, or consuming one of the allied summons and getting 2 stacks. Obviously, he's going to synergize really well with units that put out a lot of summons. The perfect synergy, as you'll see, especially if you watch my Valise video, is with Valise, because she can have up to 5 summons out at a time, and they have this period where they're about to perish, where they're just doing nothing. They're just inactive, and if Ezareth is on the field, I guess I'm just telling you all about it now, she sends those summons all the way over to him, wherever he is on the battlefield, so he can just eat up right away. It is an insane synergy. Also, he gives a synergy back to Valise, because when one of her summons doesn't perish naturally, but is consumed or disappears through some other way, she gains attack stacks faster. So they are a really good duo. I think it might have sounded wrong the way I said it. I kind of misspoke. The 2-second cooldown is only when he devours an allied summon. If he does fully devour an enemy, the cooldown on that is 10 seconds. So that is nice, but all in all, you don't want him in devouring mode much of the time. The purpose of this mode, as you can see, is when he's not at full stacks of Dark Spores to get him back to full stacks. So you kind of want to be consuming allied summons when you can, because in that case, he can get back up to 5 stacks in 6 seconds, right? It's only a 2-second cooldown. Consume a summon, get 2 stacks. Consume a summon, get 2 stacks. Now you're at 4. You only need 1 more. Consume 1 more thing, and you're good to go. You'll even have 1 extra that you can't use. Once you've got the full stacks, you obviously put him back to Destroyer mode, or at least wait until you want him back in Destroyer mode, and then he destroys. He really does. So let's find out how he can hit even harder. Let's go to the first passive. World Destroyer mode special attack, that's when he does the 430% AoE damage to 10 targets max. It's also going to inflict a very strong AoE magic vulnerability. So this debuff is going to lead to plus 25% magic damage taken. This ties for the strongest AoE magic damage vulnerability in the game. A unit like Selene actually has the strongest at 30%, but that's single target. For AoE, this is coming in tying the likes of Twin Fiend at A1 and Soul Cadence at A1. This is very, very strong. Additionally, any of the units he hits with that special attack will get executed if their HP is below 30%. So he joins the likes of Virna and Neza and Uridin as units that can fully execute. And he's doing this on top of dealing huge damage and putting out vulnerabilities. If we go to the final passive now, Insatiable Maw, when he's carrying Dark Spores, any amount of stacks, he will increase his attack and damage reduction by 20%. When he triggers World Devourer mode, so he goes back to charge up, he's going to deal 200% AoE damage to up to 8 enemies around the target, and he will inflict stun on them. That stun is pretty solid, nothing special at 1 second, but an AoE stun hitting 8 enemies is really nice. And this is a nice little burst as you head into the Devourer mode, right? So when he's heading out of the Destruction mode, out of the Destroyer mode. Now, this is a really cool support ability, the second half of the passive. It's a totally separate thing. If when he's in World Devourer mode and he devours a target that is an allied summon, he will give 5% rage to the owner of that summon. However, if the owner of that summon, Valise for example, is of the Cursed Cult, he is going to give them an additional 10% rage. So it's the 5% base with an additional 10%. So that's another 15% rage. He leads to Valise ulting all the time. It is very cool, and this allows her to maintain a max presence of 5 summons on the battlefield at one time. I know this kit seems really confusing. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around, but let me tell you, when you see it in action, he literally just deletes stuff. He is pretty remarkable. He's kind of like the AoE version of Neza, but magic damage, and he hits harder. He's really, really good. Before we move on to the Awakenings, we do have to talk about his amazing Lord skill, and it is amazing. So the first part is the same as any Legendary Lord in this game. He will increase the faction team members' base attributes by 15%. That is the standard. The second part is just like any other Cultist Lord in the game. It's the strongest version, just like all the Legendary Cultist Lords. He's going to increase faction team members' damage dealt to enemies inflicted with any crowd control effects, slow, stun, freeze, immobilize state, anything else by 30%. That is all damage. So the next part is his special part, right? This is where he differs from Demi and Morrigan. So he is going to increase faction team members' damage by 25%. That is the first part. Full stop. That's his own thing. He's just boosting damage by an additional 25% on top of everything else. But he can boost them even further. When he is on the battlefield and an allied summon dies, he's going to increase the team member's damage by an additional 5% for 15 seconds. This stacks up to 3 times. Remember, if he's not devouring enemies, he can devour an allied summon, effectively killing them every 2 seconds when he's in Devourer mode, so it's pretty easy if you time things out well and you pay attention to maintain another additional 15% damage a lot of the time. It can be very, very good uptime. And remember, these are allied summons, not just cultist allied summons. So whenever any allied summons dies from another way, they don't have to be consumed by him. It is also going to lend itself to this damage boost. Pretty cool stuff. He's exceptionally good. There's nothing else to say about it. He is really, really good. Let's go to the A1 now. When World Destroyer mode's special attack is triggered, he will increase AoE damage by 15% for himself and all allied mages on the field for 8 seconds. That's not just cultist mages, that's every mage on the battlefield. He can trigger this special attack every 5 seconds when he is in Destroyer mode, as long as he has the Dark Spore stacks, so he can keep this up as long as he has stacks. This is really, really good. It's a big damage boost for him and for all the mages. It is a very good A1. The A2 is pretty standard. He gets his additional 300 attack like we discussed before, and he will increase faction team members' AoE damage by 5%. So another damage boost. Pretty standard for the Cultist Legendary Lords. The A3 now. Every 2 triggers of World Devourer mode's Devour effect grants 1 extra stack of Dark Spores. This is pretty clutch because it makes it so he can achieve max stacks while devouring 1 less allied summon. So what do I mean? Every time he devours an allied summon, he gets 2 stacks, but every time he does that, every 2 devours, he's gonna get a bonus stack. So devour an allied summon, that's 2. Devoured an allied summon, that's 2. There's the bonus. It only took 2 devours. He's back at 5 stacks. Go back to Destroyer mode and literally destroy everything. The A4, very standard, plus 8% penetration, so he's going to ignore 8% of the magic resistance. That's the magic defense in this game. And then the A5, very strong, World Destroyer mode, special attack will ignore 25% magic resistance. Believe it or not, that is really strong. It's not like you absolutely need it. Will he be much better at A5? He'll be better, but I actually think the key awakening for him is the A1. Giving him essentially, when he needs it, a full increase in all his damage, because all his damage is AoE by 15%, and lending that to all the allied mages is really, really good. All in all, exactly where he's going to excel is to be seen, but he is going to excel. I think he has a ton of potential in GVG. I think he has potential, but we'll have to test it out in AoE Arena. He obviously is going to be the meta for Zerbus, though he might not move the needle at first as much as a lot of you hope. It depends on how far into the content you are, but I will say for general progression, we officially have a broken unit. This guy is very, very strong. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Fastidious. If you like my stuff, please do like it, subscribe to the channel. A big thank you to R-Type for editing this video. Share it with your mother, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.